for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENOM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's up guys, Venom Fire here back from the video, and today I'm going to bring you guys another one of my favorite money plays in the game. One that's pretty underused, and it's out of the gun bunch formation, so one of the more popular, if not the most popular formation in the game. Again, it's a very underused play. I actually do try to use it as much as I can every time I do a gameplay. If you've watched some of those gameplays, you'll probably know that, but we're going to be running the spacing switch play. Now, I do think it might have a couple of other names. I think there's one where it's called spacing. That one's a little bit different. The reason that is different is because the solo side receiver right here, he ends up being on like this little slant slash post. So it is a little bit different. And then the actual player right here, who would be on the outside of the bunch, ends up being on a hitch instead of an out route. So it is a little bit different. You can carry both concepts with either of the plays, but I do recommend spacing switch. I'm going to be in the New York Jets offensive playbook today, and you notice that I am using Tampa Bay, so we will have that hot route master with us. Really, mainly, you don't necessarily need hot route master, but you do want at least one wide receiver apprentice, and then, of course, a running back apprentice or backfield master, whatever you want to call it. So just go ahead, come out with your bunch, of course, on the wide side of the field, and we're just going to show off some of my favorite ways to beat coverage, some of my favorite ways to open up these wide receivers. So to start out, I'll show what it kind of looks like stock. We have a couple of just spot routes. We have a spot route from B, we have a spot route from RB, and then A is on a little, not sure what you call it. This might honestly be the spacing route. Again, I don't really know what you call it, but A's on a little tight end hook, I think it's called. That's probably it. And then you have Y on his swing and X on his out route. So I'll just run it stock. You'll see what it looks like. We got RB. And right off the bat, we got two players open. B and A are just sitting there wide open. So you can see, again, stock coverage, it's pretty good. This is one of my favorite plays to just come out in the field, quick snap. Just because right there, just both are going to be open. So this is a very good play to quick snap. Not the best against man coverage. I mean, these players will have a little bit of separation, but we know in this year's game with Acrobat, things like that, not the most reliable, but yeah, very good with a quick snap. And not only can you just quick snap it, of course, we all know that you can make one hot route before your quarterback starts pointing to the right, pointing to the left. So I can come to the line of scrimmage, I'm going to put Y on a flat, and I'm just going to snap the ball. That would also kind of simulate a quick snap. I feel like that opens up Antonio Brown a little bit more. Pretty much it's going to guarantee that the player on that right-hand side, if he's in a flat zone, whatever, is going to get pinned or pulled to the sideline for a guarantee. So that's pretty much what it is doing. And it's just kind of any curl flat concept. It's similar to a curl flat, although you're on a spot route. Antonio Brown is running to about 7 yards of depth. So even though when the play art shows him maybe even going to 4 or 5 yards, he's going to go a little bit deeper than you might anticipate. So you see in the play art, he's going 3 yards. Gronkowski, I think he goes to about 6 yards, a pass lead up, and he's already at 10 yards. So you see, you can definitely pick up chunks of yardage when you're running this play. Let's get into some of the more serious ones. Again, I already said that this is the first way to run it. Just Y on a flat. That's pretty simple. You won't see me use too much motion in this. I don't really, again, it's more of a quick snap type of a play rather than a hot route, 5 players, and then we're going to build it around one route. We're going to build the play, again, mainly around Antonio Brown and Gronkowski's route, but we will show some other ways to get people involved while using hot routes and other things like that. So the first way that I've been running it in the past, I've run the setup a lot throughout the year, and it's going to be just to put RB on a post. So we're going to run it like this, flat Y, post RB, you go ahead, snap the ball, and again, it's just going to add another threat. Mainly this would be if your opponent's running a little bit of man, a little bit of zone. If he is going with man, of course RB is going to get open, and really this just puts a lot of stress, puts a lot of tension, pressure on the user to make the right read. It's a pretty simple read. You just throw it to the one guy he's not covering. If this is double Mabel, this play is absolutely amazing against double Mabel. The biggest reason for that is, of course, Antonio Brown will not be defended by either the curl flat or the hard flat. Same with Gronkowski. And then you add a route that's going to bait the user. You don't want to have him be able to kind of lurk between two guys, especially if he has a Taylor Mays who can cover a lot of ground. This post will usually be enough to hold up the user. It's really a decoy. I mean, if he's going to defend Gronkowski and leave the post open, that's certainly something that he can do. But mainly, we want to put a little distraction for the user, and that's going to be what Chris Godwin's route is in this particular setup. I'll show it. I do believe that if I wait a little bit, I can end up hitting Chris Godwin. You see there, we end up hitting him on his little post route. The spot with Antonio Brown does a good job of pulling zones down, such as hook curls, other things like curl flats. But let's move into our next setup going along with this play. Our next setup is going to be kind of similar. What we're going to do differently is just put our Chris Godwin on a little crossing route here. So a little bit different, kind of the same though. The crosser just gets a little bit more depth. If he is sleeping at the wheel, then this crosser is going to get pretty deep. And you see it's a better threat to hit on the sideline. So that's pretty much the reasoning for going with a crosser. Also, it's a lot quicker developing, so you're not going to need 5 seconds in the pocket. You might only need 3 or 4 seconds, so it does make a difference. You notice how it also appears that the hook curls are pulled up just a little bit deeper. It is a deeper route in depth, so that is of course a reasoning for going with a crosser instead. And I'll show you guys other ways that we use the crosser. But again, you can just kind of step up in the pocket, just make a simple read. You see, even against a 2 hook curl play, we have 2 or 3 routes open every single time. And really, whatever your opponent throws at you, this play should counter it. You also want to kind of consider the fact that you're not going to be running this play every single time. You're going to be mixing in some of the best plays in the game, like Z-spot, like Jets dig, like mesh, like verticals, a smash return, all of these plays, and you mix in a spacing switch 1 out of every 4 plays. And I've gone against people who will run it like a variation of 3-play bunch. They'll include this play, and it's an absolute handful to defend because really you almost have to man up the tight end. It's almost like no zone will really ever defend Gronkowski, so I almost have to man him up. Vert hooks don't defend him, hook curls don't defend him, 3 rec hooks don't defend him. You almost have to man him up, and even then, a potential low ball can still get open, because I actually think I defended this type of a scheme in a gameplay once, but yeah, it's overall a handful. So one last time, the variation, we're just going to put Chris Godwin on a little crosser. That time you see it didn't look like the hook curl matched as well, and that's where we can maybe hit him for a route, or for a throw on the sideline, low ball, things of that nature. Let's hop into the next way to run it. And the next way to run it is going to be with the crosser still, but we're going to incorporate some motion. So we're going to utilize some motion. I'm going to motion this crosser just across the formation. This is, again, just giving him new looks, giving him different things. This in this particular setup is going to open up the crosser a lot more. Some people could say the setup is a little bit worse, but really it's just similar. Instead of A and B both being open, now we have R1 and B usually being the people that are open. This is a situation where you actually do see Gronkowski being defended. But again, I want you guys to consider the fact that your opponent's not going to know the play that you're running. He's not going to know the setup that you're running. Of course, he's probably not expecting spacing switch when he actually ends up seeing some motion. So this is a setup that would probably throw off a lot of guys, especially when you've ran it 3 times and you haven't motioned once. Now you motion. Maybe he thinks it's another play. And overall, you see it's just very simple reads. Again, I just have the crosser. The crosser will have a lot more space in this case. So if you're trying to hit the crosser, I do recommend going with this setup. Of course, when you're motioning a crosser from the wide side of the field to the short side of the field, it's going to take him a long time to run across the formation. So as far as throwing the crosser goes, I don't really recommend throwing it to the sideline. That's certainly an option. You saw right there it was completed, but mainly I would recommend just kind of throwing it as a deeper type of post route. And I will show the post route next, but you see he just gets deeper in depth, just makes it difficult to defend. And that's kind of what you want as far as that is concerned. So the next way to run it, of course, I just kind of gave away what I was doing. It's going to be the post route. I can smart out to get a little bit deeper, but you're just going to motion it across again. I'm not the biggest fan of this setup just because the post breaks at like 7-8 yards. So you see they're really, really close to each other. I don't really recommend this setup. I'll show it just because it is another way to run it. If it's man coverage, maybe you like it a little bit better than the crosser, but me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this setup. I will show a setup where you actually don't have to send 5 routes out with this though, and then you will probably think it's a little bit better, but for now, this is kind of what it looks like. But let's go into a situation. Let's say he's sending some heat at you. I could do a couple of things here. I could block Ronald Jones. That would be our first option. Or I could block Gronkowski. For the first one, I'll block Gronk. And we'll go to something like this. We have our flat, we have our spot, and then we have an out and a little crosser. This setup's not terrible. Again, the out route, I can kind of do a couple of different things with it. I could leave the out route, or I could put Evans on like a little hitch of his own. So a setup that I might like is something kind of like this. So we're going to just hitch X, cross RB. We keep those same routes on the right. And this might be a little bit better. You notice again, it's very similar to that Gronkowski setup. And you notice that Mike Evans doesn't do a whole lot for the play. Now, if it is a double Mabel, you usually do want Mike Evans out there just because he does a really good job of holding curls, flats, and hard flats out there. Whereas you notice in this, I'll show the replay. The curl flat that was out there, he's right here, and you see he's just sitting on the route. So he's defending it pretty well. Of course, he's not actually defending the crosser, which should be his assignment, but you notice how that out route kind of would take that away in every single situation. So one last time, we'll show something kind of like this. Again, I'll post RB. And you can, of course, mix in different things. You can get pretty creative with this. Really, I would say stick with B and Y on the flat. I would say stick with those 2 routes. You can change up a couple of different things. But yeah, it's going to do it for the video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you go ahead, subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video as well. Follow me on Twitter. Link will be down below in the description as well. And peace. I'm out of here.